24/7 has its new recruiting rankings out. How does it affect Alabama?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luke Robinson. That's Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. This is Locked On Bama, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Jimmy, a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little Sales and Gayles for those who know Alabama's recruiting situation with wide receivers, as Osani Gayles will be committing on June 27th, which is, right around the corner now. I'm going to tell you, let me say this really quickly. I'm thrilled to death this summer is flying by. I'm thrilled to death. Summer is my least favorite season. My favorite season is fall, all day.
So you hate the summer. You hate the Braves and Thanksgiving food.
Okay. I need to be checked if I'm an American at this point, probably. But anyway.
I can't wait for football. I can't wait for, whenever we're doing all this Sorsby stuff and the Senate bill and the complaining about recruiting, which is really an offshoot of this new reality of the 105 rule and NIL and rev share and all that stuff. I can't wait to wake up on a Saturday morning that is chock full of college football. You know why? Because we don't care about any of this stuff. When the games start and the games, Saturdays in the fall, are why everyone listening to this show and listening to my voice right now is here because of Saturdays in the fall. And they're still as awesome as ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, we love talking softball and everything else, but there are very few people that tune in and go, I can't wait to hear what Luke and Jimmy have to say about the softball team.
Well, we picked up a transfer from Tennessee yesterday. Kaylee Plumlee. She was a really good pitcher.
Okay, so also going to talk to your roster countdown. We got a guy on the countdown today that you and I love. Can't wait to talk about him. But we'll start off with some we'll also talk about the TV windows being announced. You think that's not a huge thing, but some of the ones were surprising to me. Regardless, we will also talk about 24/7 updating their rankings. There were some in there that is still kind of interesting to me. Elijah Haven he's at number 10 on 24/7.
Number 10 overall prospect or number 10 quarterback?
Number 10 overall prospect.
That's pretty good because Rivals barely has him as a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I know. But they have him as the third best quarterback. They have him behind Trey Taylor, who's committed to Nebraska, and behind Izzy Adams, who is committed to Miami.
Well, one thing about that, I will say this about, and I know every Alabama fan wants Elijah to be number one. I get that. But Trey Taylor had an extremely good Elite 11. Yeah. I think it was practically a consensus opinion that he was the best player at Elite 11. The Rivals guys, the 24/7 guys, and more importantly, the Elite 11 counselors. I think Trey Taylor, I put a lot of stock into Elite 11 in terms of distinguishing between these top guys because they're competing side by side and you don't have the variables of how different their high school situations are. I have zero problem considering Trey Taylor to be the number one quarterback in this class.
Then go down a little bit, you get to Monshun Sales, who is number 13 now. Again, we'll talk about him in a bit, so no reason to dive in there.
Might be underrated.
I think he's underrated too. Then Ishmael Kamara from Texas, who Alabama is in on, a 5-star still. Gabriel Osborne, who Alabama loved. He's a newly minted 5-star in some services.
He's one of the best 2 or 3 guys that I think we recruit in this cycle. And I love Gabriel Osborne. I hate that he's going to Oklahoma because this means we're going to have to play against him at some point. Boy, heck of a football player. Yeah, it really is. Trying to just find some other guys that would have some Alabama relation in here. I was a little shocked that, first of all, I was shocked in a good way. They have Osani Gayles at number 34 in the country. Yeah, that makes him, you can say he's not a 5-star because he's a 34. Looking for those unaware, there's 32 5-stars because that jives up with the first round of the NFL draft. You can say it's not a 5-star, but what's the difference between the 34th and 32nd guy? He's a 5-star to me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. And again, we'll talk about him and Sales in just a bit. Mitchell Turner is at number 48. He is projected to Alabama. I still think he ends up there. You do too. We have not lob locked him, but we feel good about it. Then there's Gideon Gash, a guy that you and I both love. Of course, we went after his brother last year, ended up at Michigan State. He's committed to Texas Tech, unfortunately.
Yeah, he still may visit Alabama, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. The safety I'm really focused on is Junior Tuoapo from Thompson, who's also just a fantastic safety. Probably a Texas lean, but he's going to make the trip to Alabama, and it's Alabama's chance to win him back and prove that the Texas thing was just a visit high when he said, Texas is my leader.
Hayden Stepp, way down at number 61.
Yeah, and we're
that's
in good shape.
Probably the lowest for any of them. I'm going to click on this and see if that's the lowest for any of them.
I wouldn't doubt. That's probably the lowest Hayden Stepp is ranked. I would think Rivals and ESPN have him higher at this point. Now, of course, it's still fairly early in the recruiting's, 24/7 updates its rankings. So we're having this whole show. 24/7 is going to update its rankings like 4 or 5 more times before they're finalized. And that's just their service, to say nothing of Rivals and ESPN. When Hayden Stepp, quote, falls from 29 to 61, I think people immediately, the standard normal reaction is, what's wrong? What happened? Well, first of all, a lot of guys are moving up. That means somebody's got to move down. And secondly, if he committed to Alabama tomorrow, and he might, if he committed to Alabama, we still just landed the 61st best player in the country. That's a big, big deal. So don't get too down about that. Now, have you pulled up Stepp to see where he's at with Rivals?
Yeah, they don't have like Rivals does it, so I'm going to pull it up in a second. Yeah. Jabarius Chicken Guerra is at 107, but he was committed to Alabama. He's not anymore.
Did he commit today? I think he commits yesterday or today.
The 12th, I think.
That's like today, I think.
That's the 11th.
I'll lose track of the days. Okay, tomorrow. Is he going to Texas or Georgia or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he could end up Texas. He could end up. There was another school. I want to say maybe Florida was in there. I can't remember all the schools that were in there, but anyway. And then
Ellis McGaskin from Williamson committed to Florida the other day.
I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Good player. Yeah. I'm a fan of his. I like Isaac McNeil too. That's at Auburn, and Ellis McGaskin. I like them, but I'm not upset that they're not at Alabama for this reason. It's very simple. Alabama wanted one pricey inside linebacker. One inside linebacker that's pricey. They chose Simon. It's not crazy to pick Simon over McNeil and McGaskin. I get it. I'm on board with it. Doesn't mean I don't think McNeil and McGaskin are good, but you're only taking one, and that was the deal going in. So I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, they have McNeil at number 63 and Simon at number 144. Again, in the grand scheme of things, you're splitting hairs. I'm like you. I mean, I'm always sort of siding on the in-state guy, but if they like, if the budget is better suited for Kenneth Simon, and I think you're splitting hairs, then yes, I'm on board with that. Then you go through here, and there are a lot of kids that are committed, but they're not as many associated with Alabama as in the past. A. King Hall from Dothan, he is of course committed. He was committed to Oregon. Now he's committed to Miami. He's at number 178.
That's I find far more accurate than where he's been ranked by Rivals and other services early on. Rivals had him as a number 1 prospect in Alabama. You had to sort of read between my lines, and I sort of said it, but that was never the number 1 player in Alabama. Never. I like Isaac McNeil more than I. King Hall. I just wasn't. Niles, another player, 100% fine with Alabama. It's crazy that he was ranked that high. Alabama's never pushed for him to be a part of this class. Never pushed for him to be a part of the class. That was just their take on him.
And then again, not a lot of other names associated with Alabama, but again, it's going to be a small class, so nobody panic. I did notice that Colton Nussmeier, I didn't know he was committed to Georgia. I don't know how that slipped through the cracks for me. Then there's another kid named Marquise Evans, however you want to say it. He, of course, I know he's looking at Auburn, but I haven't heard Alabama associated with him much. He's at Spain Park.
I don't believe that's somebody that Alabama's deemed a take as of now. Things can change. Again, sort of early. 1 year ago, no one listening to the show, watching the show, or running this show had ever heard of Jared Doty. And then we get him much later in the process, and he's a national top 100 prospect.
Yeah. So just interesting. Now I want to go to Alabama's commitment list on 24/7 and see where that has most of their guys, because I know there were some newly minted 4 stars, and that's like for instance, one of the linemen I think got bumped up. Trent Seaborn still a 4-star. Nigel Newkirk, I take it back. None of them were bumped up. It's 3 stars.
Where do they rank Newkirk among running backs?
Number 22.
Okay. I think that's fair. Now, Rivals has him at 6, and that's a fairly big discrepancy, 6 to 22. Just my opinion is no one's going to ask it, but I would think somewhere in betwixt the two is probably the sweet spot. Maybe not, shouldn't be 6. Maybe shouldn't be as low as 22, but somewhere in betwixt sounds right to me.
Michael Mbuifi, he's still a 3-star, number 52 tight end. I want to tell you something. Of all the guys on this list, I think he might have the most potential to shoot up the charts based on some of his combine stuff that was put out there the other day.
Yeah, if the ranking people get hold of those numbers, that should matter. The only thing that really should matter is to Alabama fans. And again, he just plays a position that's just not going to be ranked very high. And by that, I don't mean tight end. I mean a kind of designated blocking tight end. I mean, those guys, they don't go high in the draft, but they're critical to running the football. And I think that should be the Alabama fan response every time that kid's name comes up and where he's ranked. You should be, sorry, we're trying to run the football.
Yeah. 100%, because that is something that is 100% a problem.
And how about the fact that here's what should stand out. This kid's a block first physical beast presence as a blocking guy on the edge. And now we find out he runs a 4.6. So yeah, I'm on board with this take for sure.
So he can block you very, very fast. That's what that means. Time to talk some Indeed. Workplace chaos can show up fast. Deadlines are stacking up. Projects need attention. And on top of everything else, you're trying to fill an important role. The problem is that finding the right candidate can take a lot more time than most businesses can afford. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. So you're spending less time sorting through applications and more time talking to qualified people who can help get your business to where it needs to be. Finding the right person can make all the difference. It's some of the best moves, and organizations aren't always the splashiest ones. Sometimes it's finding the person who fits exactly what that team needs right then. Okay. So
like the tight end we're just talking about.
Exactly. Boy, Michael Mbuifi is perfect for Indeed. Alabama found him and they hooked him up. It's great. So, look, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show get a $75 job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply because they apply to everything. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Go check out our Everydayer Club. We've got, I talked to Zach this morning, Zach Blackerby. We have 174 members of the Everydayer Club. That is one of the tops in the entire Locked On family. And so we want more, though, because we know there are more than 174 like-minded people out there that are like us, that just love talking Alabama stuff, don't want to get in any bickering and fighting like you get on typical message boards. I'm going to tell you right now, I love the other message boards. They're good for what they are. But I also would love to have a message board where I can go back to it and go, did y'all see the craziness on that other message board? And I think that's what our Discord page does. LockedOnBama.supercast.com. The Everydayer Club is $5 a month or $50 for the year. I mean, look, we want you there. We're asking you. You remember when Dave Chappelle was Rick James and he had that come hither thing moment? Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I talk about that because the other day, bad language and all, I showed my 19-year-old daughter and my 16-year-old son. They made a comment about that. We don't know what you're talking about. And I said, oh, yeah, this happened before y'all were born. Okay, y'all have got to watch Dave Chappelle's show on when Charlie Murphy did his stories about Prince and he did his stories about Rick James. And we just sat and
good.
It was in the Target parking lot. I wouldn't let them go in the Target until we finished watching them. And we were rolling. It was hilarious. So still good to this day. I mean, still so good. And the scary thing is Charlie Murphy's dead. Prince is dead. Rick James is dead. I mean, there's a lot of morbidity in there too. Alabama TV windows, we knew some of them already. The one that stood out to me, Vandy at 11 o'clock, I was thinking, man, you just know Vandy's never going to get the love, right? If you can't get Alabama, when you're Vandy, like you're Vandy right now, and you can't get any better than that, that tells you where you stand on the totem pole. Then there's
surely they go backwards this year, right? Surely they're not 10-2 again. I'm going to say, without looking at the schedule, 6-6. Frankly, I'm going to say 6-6, and if I'm wrong, I'd bet the under. But I have underestimated Vanderbilt for 2 years, though.
The another one that I think everybody's happy about, Alabama South Kakalaki at night. Okay, that's good. I mean, we needed it because we've on these other games we already knew about all these 2:30 kicks that we had at the beginning of the season.
South Carolina will be our first primetime kickoff, right? We go 11, then we go 2:30, and then we go 2:30, and then we play at night, and then we play at 11 o'clock again.
And let me say, I think even though I'm sort of ragging on Bama Vandy at 11, I like it. For me as a visitor, because I'm sure I'm going to that game. It's right up the road. I'm sure I'm going to go to that game, and I'm sure I'm going to go to Mississippi State, which is also right up the road. It's at 11 o'clock, easy peasy. You're done, and then you get to watch the other games, or take the quick trip back to Birmingham and listen to some other games, and still be at home for some good night stuff. And I'm always a big proponent of playing home teams, playing my away games at 11 o'clock, because it's been my experience those crowds aren't as feverish. So I'm happy about those two games being at 11 in a sense. I mean, just because that's a selfish reason. Georgia, of course, is nighttime. I mean, that's surely to God both those teams will be undefeated coming in.
Yeah, I'd have to now Alabama will be a double-digit favorite in every game they play coming up to Georgia. But as we know, DeBoer's biggest thing is he has lost games like that. I think I tweeted. I think I posted on the Discord page last night. That Kentucky game, it fits the profile of games DeBoer has lost. I think one of the biggest challenges facing Kalen DeBoer in 2026 is stop it. Cut it out. We've got to stop losing one game a year or two games to someone we have no business losing to. And by that, I mean, if we're a 8, 9, 10, 11 win type team, we shouldn't be losing to 6-6 teams or 5-7 teams. And I think if we cut that out, that means 5-0 in the first 5 and 3-0 in the last 8. And then what you do in the middle just determines whether you're a playoff team or not.
I thought it was interesting too that Alabama LSU, not necessarily a lock for nighttime. It's afternoon or night. Now,
I would put that down as a night game. I know it's afternoon or night, the flex thing. I would put it, LSU threatens nuclear war if they don't get to play their big game at night.
I understand what you're saying, and you're probably right. It's probably going to happen that way. However, the other game that day, where right now is Alabama LSU, and then Oklahoma at Florida, interesting, could be really interesting. But Georgia at Ole Miss. See, I think that would be the ABC. Now, we may get the ESPN side of that kickoff.
Right.
And it may depend on how Ole Miss is doing, and it may depend on, but it's another big game. Now, look, the Alabama Lane Kiffin dynamic may supersede that. I don't know.
That's week 10. That's the week 10 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Week 10 has an unbelievable list of games in the SEC and nationally. So you're right. Maybe it does get squeezed in the afternoon because I didn't take that into account. But that is not just in the SEC, but in the Big Ten nationally. I think Miami Notre Dame is that day. I mean, it's the biggest Saturday of the year this year is week 10.
And then Alabama, Tennessee, that's also a flex game. I feel like that's going to be the ABC night game because what it's up against. Mississippi State at LSU, that doesn't move the meter. Auburn at Georgia, now that could move the meter if Auburn's very much improved. But my guess is that it's going to be Bama, Tennessee because you got Kentucky at Oklahoma, Missouri at Ole Miss, Arkansas at Vandy. I mean, Bama, Tennessee is the only ranked game preseason in that one. So I'm thinking Tennessee will be our night game, which is interesting. Me and my group that we always go to games, we've decided Tennessee is the game we're going to go to this year. So, I mean, I'm going to go to other games with other people, but like my little group that we do, we're going to go to Tennessee there and try and get on the river, like do the river thing.
Oh, yeah, Vol Navy. I mean, I'm not a big Tennessee fan, but I do think the Vol Navy tailgating thing is one of the coolest traditions in this league.
It's just a super cool tradition. By the way, again, I don't know if did we talk about this on the pod about how, they had the soccer stuff at Auburn. Did we talk about that yesterday?
I think we may have made brief mention of it.
Okay. Well, they had it at A&M. They had it at some other places too. And man, these Europeans are going crazy. They're like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. This is what we do every Saturday in the fall, dude. I mean, y'all think y'all have it pretty good. We take this stuff pretty doggone seriously. So
if you think about it, I mean, as crazy as those Europeans are about their soccer, and I get it. I mean, I'm not a soccer guy, but the closest thing to that on the globe is probably college football in terms of the passion, filling stadiums and tailgating and the passion. Although my understanding is the European soccer groups, they go to bars and sort of pub crawl their way to games. They don't actually tailgate outside the stadium like in the U.S. that we do with college and NFL football.
We're going to talk a little FanDuel now. FanDuel's awesome. I mean, it really is. It's just fantastic. I love FanDuel, the biggest stage in the world. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of the game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now FanDuel has given fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals equals more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. That's all you have to do. Look, we've all seen these matches where it's scoreless feels like forever, and then one goal completely flips the game. Suddenly everybody's pressing and the crowd comes to life and the final 20 minutes becomes must-watch television. You know how it is, kind of like that NBA game last night. Look, and now you get to benefit from each goal scored. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. That, my friends, is a Jimmy Stein guarantee. I ain't screwing around this time. Man, that Knicks Spurs, I'm not going to lie, I didn't stay up for it. I mean, it was a 29-point lead. My daughter is a Knicks fan. She just loves Jalen Brunson. And she was like, well, the Spurs are going to win. And I said, yeah, baby, I think so. She's 9. And I said, well, let me put you to bed, and then I'll go to bed. And so I did. And I woke up this morning about 2:30.
She's like, Daddy lied to me.
Why, Daddy? But I woke up about 2:30 for my old man TT, and I just glanced at my phone, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, I must be looking at the wrong date. I was like, there's no way. And so I kind of brushed it off and didn't even, and then I wake up this morning and everybody on the radio is talking about it. So I had to watch the highlights, and it is just incredible. And what a scene. I mean, just look, I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm not a Spurs fan. I just like saying, I wish I'd stayed up to watch it. Give me a break. It was a 29-point lead. They made mention that the largest comeback in finals history was 24 points, and it was at 29. I mean, if you're going to break the record, you normally break it by 1 point. They broke it by 5 points.
Crazy. And I think I shouldn't say this because I think this could be wrong, but I think the Spurs set a record for most points scored in the first half, and then a record for fewest points scored in the second half in the same game.
That's insane. It is insane. But some other stuff that is very sane, and that is Dre Kirkpatrick on your roster countdown.
I hate putting him at 55 because I actually, it's crazy because I do this list and I'm sitting here criticizing myself. I believe he's better than the 55th best football player on our team. I really believe that. But that's why I had to put him at 55. Safety is just such a stacked spot for us. I worry about how much we'll see Dre. For instance, we know the starters, deservedly, Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb. They're both all SEC type candidates, and Bray Hubbard's an All-America candidate. The first safety off the bench, based on how the spring went, has to be Ivan Taylor. Ivan Taylor is going to be a star in this sport. I am confident for someone who hasn't played a lot. I am very confident in asserting Ivan Taylor is going to be a thing. And I almost hate making him safety 3 because the fact of the matter is it's Zay Mincy's turn. Zay Mincy was safety 3 last year. He's getting demoted when, if anything, he deserves to be promoted. Zay Mincy is good enough today to be a starting safety in this league. I have him number 4. I mean, the 4th best safety. So you're like, well, Dre's 5th best. Hold the phone. Here comes freak Jira Edwards, who, even though there's no room for a 5th safety, he's playing snaps with the ones in his first spring. They even have him in this strange, cool safety package coming off the edge, rushing the passer because the dude's built like a tank. Dre may actually be back there as the 6th safety, which is absurd. I think he's one of the best 6th safeties in the history of the SEC. And that sounds crazy and stupid to say. I just think Dre Kirkpatrick is good enough to be. That's a stupid thing to say, but it might be true. But it might be true. It's a stupid thing to say, but it might be true. Dre Kirkpatrick, I think Alabama's got 6 safeties ready to be starters in this league, in the SEC. 6, and Dre's among them. That's why I have him back here at 55, because he's kind of the 6th safety that we have on the list, so I can't put the 6th guy any higher than this, but Dre Kirkpatrick's a heck of a football player. Every single time we put him out there, I watch tapes of the old games, and I think it was, gosh, now I can't even remember the game. I think Louisiana Monroe. But I think my favorite play in the whole game, even though we were already up 300-0, is 2 of our favorites. QB Reese comes in and clocks a ball carrier. The ball comes squirting out, and who picks it up and makes the play on the ball? Dre Kirkpatrick. Are 2 playmaking freshman type guys who just don't get to play enough, but you put them out there and of course they make a play. That's what Dre does every time he's on the field. He makes a play. So very excited about these guys. That 5 for 5 rule, if it passes, I'll be so happy. Why? Because of our safety group. Too many of them need to be starters and need to have that opportunity. We've done some good recruiting back there. Shout out to really Mo Linguist, but Jason Jones coaches the safeties. He's doing a really good job.
All right, we're going to have to talk Sales and Gayles tomorrow, but
that's fine.
That's fine. But what? A couple of things. First of all, I never thought he might be the best 6th safety in the history of the league.
6th best safety in the SEC history.
That is downtown. That is what I would expect an Auburn fan to say about one of their guys. That's exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is a ridiculous thing to say. But who else has 6 safeties capable of starting in the league at a time when everyone is depth challenged? Kirby Smart was talking about this recently about how, it's hard to build depth now. It is. Somehow, some way, Alabama's built some pretty good depth, and it's insane at safety. Again, if the first 4 safeties all get the flu and miss a week and we got to play with the 5th and 6th guys and stick Jira Edwards and Dre Kirkpatrick out there, I think we'll be fine.
One other thing, that while I love our safety room, you may be right. It may be the best safety room in the country.
It's the deepest group on this ball club. Easily the deepest group on the ball club.
I wonder if we shouldn't have spent a little more money on just one other defensive lineman. I don't want to talk about it. Don't get me started. I'm just saying.
Well, that might be the second deepest group. Now, where that where that doesn't have what the safety group has. Safety group has an All-American candidate in Hubbard and All-SEC candidate in Sabb. I don't know that the defensive line has that star power, but they do have impressive depth to where the third team guy is just an inch behind the second team guy, is just an inch behind the first team guy. They've got a number of quality bodies there. So the depth on defense is really impressive, especially in this era of recruiting. But it does lack, if you want to like, well, what's the downside? You're making it sound like it's the number one defense in the country. It's actually not going to be, because I do think it does lack some superstar power. There's not the superstar starting lineup that like we featured all throughout the Saban dynasty.
All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.